Started the show off. I mentioned two big-time Fed officials, John Williams, New York, Susan Collins, Boston. They came to the rescue, right? They're trying to soothe nerves, saying, listen, those cuts are coming. Maybe not as soon as they want it, but trying to reassure everyone out there. My next guest, though, isn't so sure. I want to bring in Nicholas Wealth Management President David Nicholas. And, David, you actually see at least 5% or better on the 10-year happening, right?
Charles, I do, and mainly just because payrolls are strong. If you look at the last March report, 300,000 jobs. But here's what's interesting. When you look at where those jobs are coming from, it wasn't 300,000 construction jobs. 50% of the jobs created were government, which was 71,000 jobs, and healthcare, 72,000. Government and healthcare are two sectors of the economy that, Charles, the Fed has almost no impact on. So what we're going to continue to see is I think we're seeing a strengthening in the job market, which is still going to hurt the prospect for inflation coming down. So I think generally, if you look historically, the 10-year has traded about 2% above the inflation rate. In the 1980s, it was 5% above. In the 1990s, it was 3.5% above. It's very strange, or it's very in a low probability world where the 10-year trades so closely to inflation. This is why I think it's heading higher.
What do you make then, David, of the Fed working so hard, so diligently to reassure the public? When they began this journey of rate hikes, they told us to brace. Remember that Jackson Hole speech? Pain, the famous PAIN speech where we were supposed to expect pain. We haven't seen the kind of pain that typically is associated with the Fed trying to tame runaway inflation. And I just worry that they're getting it so wrong, and I wonder what the heck is motivating them this way.
Yeah, I think we can now finally, can we all agree that the Fed's been wrong? Not once, not twice. The Fed has been repeatedly wrong. And we don't know if it's intentional, but the Fed is wrong. And again, what the market has done, I think they've just let inflation get out of hand. But it's also the balance sheet. I know we focus on the rate rise and what they're going to do as far as the curve goes, but it's really the rate of the balance sheet. Are we surprised? Charles, $5 trillion is what the Fed increased their balance sheet. They've only wound off about $2 trillion of that. So why do we still have inflation? They're not winding down the balance sheet fast enough. Why? Because they want to protect the big banks. They want to protect the big institutions that are holding lots of these bonds that should be trading well down below where they are now. So I think the challenge is the balance sheet roll-off isn't quick enough. We're going to continue to see higher inflationary pressure for a while.
So the creature from Jekyll Island taking care of the big banks. Who would have thunk it? Hey, before I let you go, because, we still have to navigate this market no matter what. I love the three ideas that you have. We don't have time to go through all of them, but you do have Next Era, CrowdStrike, and NSA, which is a public storage. Real quick on the Next Era, because I'm in there as well. I just see an electricity crisis that no one's prepared for. I do think utilities are going to make a ton of money off this, and maybe it's a safety bet in case all hell breaks loose, right?
Yeah, it's a great point, Charles. Just really quick, NEE is the largest electric utility in the U.S. And oh, by the way, they just happen to be in Florida, which is the fastest growing state. We're continuing to see those move to Florida. And again, you talk about AI. It takes a lot of electricity to power AI. I think NEE is a name to know. You get a nice dividend. They're growing their dividend. And it's in an environment, in a sector that I think we're going to see a lot of demand for, Charles.
They made a lot of money under President Obama. Well, it's Florida Power and Light. I mean, they just blew up. David, thanks so much. Always appreciate you.
Thank you, Charles.